Why does USCIS deny Nigerians? Okay, so folks, I do mention Nigerians first, but really, this is a common thing for other countries of nationalities, persons of other countries of nationality. You may think it's discrimination. It's tough. Sometimes I think it is. Sometimes I don't think it's like, if anything, profiling. Okay, right? So lawyers will call it discrimination. But the one thing that Nigerians and also Chinese nationals actually have a concern about this is that when you apply for a visitor visa, you can do that online, a DS-160 form. There's a common misconception that if you check mark that you're married, that the officer will believe you're gonna come back to your country. Sure, that can help, maybe. Maybe showing other assets like your checking account, things like that. If you have a company or you have a business you operate, or you work for someone else, so you have current pay stubs. But the thing is, you don't want to check mark married if you're not married. So, and also if you have like a boyfriend, girlfriend, or fiance, that does not mean married. So I do know in Nigeria, because I just had a consultation, spoke with a client, and after it's back and forth. They just want to verify because ultimately, if someone was previously married, we need the divorce order. Every country does things differently. In Nigeria, they have something called customary marriage, and I've come to find out, that when people have applied on their own or they hire another lawyer, that law firm may not have a detailed process that we call due diligence. Some people might consider it quality control. So we make sure that we have everything, because at the end of the day, folks, most law firms, immigration lawyers, we of course can help you, but to what extent are they going to help you? Are they going to drill down so that we can make sure that we can avoid immigration problems? And that's what we're doing with every client. At least I don't want to say I hope so. I know we're doing it because I have team meetings at least twice a week, depending on the department. And so this is one of the things we talk about. Okay, so let me see if we can pull it up. So one of the things that we look at is the Department of State has a reciprocity chart. Okay, so I'm sharing here an example for Nigeria. So let me click on N for Nigeria. Okay, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if you go down, they have different documents you got to look at. I'm going to go all the way down to marriage documents. Okay, here we go. Marriage certificate. There's a couple different ways you can get married in Nigeria. One is called customary marriage. Not saying that this is a bad idea, but actually, I would love to find out for those folks who have a knowledge of Nigerian culture, at least with getting married, why someone would pick customary marriage versus like I guess you can say, the typical legal way. I'm not trying to say, do one way or the other, but I can see after reading this the last couple of weeks again, that it can be difficult through a customary marriage in terms of getting a divorce, because I guess technically it's not a divorce if it's a customary marriage, just the way I read it here, this Department of State website. There's also something called Islamic marriage. There's another one called registry marriage. They break that down into federal marriage registry, designated churches, state and local registry. So it's just several different types of marriages. And essentially they're doing it based on who is conducting the marriage. So at least I could say in America, they keep it simple. Even if you have you have a pastor, or you have a friend who is ordained, has their certificate through the state of Texas or the state that you live in, at the end of the day, you still have to apply for a marriage license in your state or your county specifically. And then after the ceremony, you have to file it with the county, just one legal authority, really. Whereas in Nigeria, there's several different entities, you could say, or authorized signers. So that when you consider getting remarried, let's say in America, or getting remarried in a different country, in Nigeria, you got to make sure that your divorce or your document that's essentially saying you're separated legally complies with the Department of State. So let me go back to this website here. So we're now under divorce certificate, and the divorce certificate essentially depends on how you were married. So you go down here, they have, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, customary marriage. They have no legal requirement that a customary marriage should be dissolved by any court, nor any requirement that the divorce be registered or documented. That's not good, okay? Like, That's not good for immigration. USCIS will not like this, or the Department of State does not like this, right? So yes, it does say that you can get it documented some other way, but Nigeria is trying to say because you're not legally required to document it, so I guess I'm sharing this in case, yeah, just going to make it more difficult. For example, it says later down here for those that this could be helpful for, of course, Nigerians. But even if you're not Nigerian, I would just want to share this concept with you because if you're considering to get married and you're familiar with your country may have different types of marriages, you want to go ahead and just this is like way future thinking, but if a one glimpse of your mind, you're thinking, I do want to go to America somehow. Of course, you're not going to predict the future that I'm going to get divorced from this person. So I need to know what kind of, if this type of marriage certificate allows for a certain type of divorce order or divorce certificate, that'd be kind of wild. I don't think you would be in that situation. But if you just have a thought, just one little thought that you want to come to America, it's just a lot of Nigerians call us, and so we're happy to help. But that's why I'm sharing it specific to Nigeria right now. I just don't see how you could future predict this, but in case for those who are watching this, you just want to take note of this. And especially, I want to say if you are in Nigeria now and you are divorced or you're about to go through a divorce, I wish you the best, number one. But number two, you want to make sure that the divorce certificate you're about to get complies with the type of marriage that was conducted. Okay, so you do have to review this website. Okay, I'm going to make sure I share the link with y'all. Someone on our marketing team will share it with you on the YouTube channel and the Facebook group. I see a comment from Legally Fit. In your opinion, it is bias and discrimination because USCIS deviates from the State Department reciprocity requirements when it comes to Nigerians. Yeah, we noticed that too. And that's why I went live here today to at least, thanks for your comment. But yeah, this is why this video is to this live show, this topic is to at least help people get a leg up, at least get the information straight so that, yeah, folks, I just hate it that you go all the way, you wait all this time, probably 2 years for a consular case where you're abroad, and then you're waiting for your interview on the 485, or 2023 trend is they're getting waived for marriage cases, but it's not going to be waived for interview if you have an possible issue with your marriage certificate, your prior marriage divorce order or lack thereof if you don't have one, and you write in that you were married before. So it's going to be completely confusing to USCIS. So imagine you are going to get RFE. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have not, especially if you've not filed your case before or yet, you do want to get everything in order first, because we do have some clients say, like, I got my birth certificate, I got my divorce order, and then I filed my case and it's not sufficient for Department of State or USCIS. So yeah, I mean, Legally Fit is correct that even if you do have it correct based on a reciprocity chart, it still might not be enough. But if you're in Nigeria, and think about when I say in Nigeria, it's because I heard folks that are in America, and it's been difficult for them to get it abroad, right? They hire some quote unquote lawyer or consultant, and because you're not outside in Nigeria, it's hard to keep them accountable, right? Like you pay them a amount of money and maybe they don't get back to you. And so just like a lawyer, you got to keep us on our toes. I just had a client call. I said, keep us accountable. Give me some feedback on our customer service. And so that's the same thing. You can't do that with someone in Nigeria because you're in America, right? They don't give a flip. So and then they're not going to tell you like a lawyer in the sense that this is exactly what you need. They're just going to give you something thinking that it's enough for you. They don't know the immigration laws, right? So again, this kind of dates back to what I was saying in the beginning, the video here, today's show, is that I've heard of people hiring like an agent, consultant in Nigeria and other countries too, to fill out the form, the DS-160 for a visitor visa. Look, I mean, people ask us to fill it out. We actually don't accept that as a case or as a client because we think that's pretty straightforward. We're happy to help you if it's part of a different case, but I hate to charge that amount of money, but we're happy to help you again if needed. But I really recommend you don't hire like an agent or something because they might really thoroughly screw up your case for the future. But they might not screw it up in that moment because plenty of people have done this. They check married, and you're able to get the visitor visa, and you don't have a problem, right? You got in, customs not going to check, typically, as far as I know, they're not going to check the actual form. But in the thinking for the future, because we immigration problem solvers, we have this issue come up plenty of times when people call in. They say I filed on my own, and I say the first thing I think of, unfortunately, when I see they check mark, they write in their from country of Nigeria or China, the first thing I think about is, what did you check mark on your DS 160? What did you put? And they take a moment, they think about it. Sometimes they got to get back to us. Sometimes they already know what I'm talking about, right? So there's a lot of stuff that I have to share, but I can't cover it all in one live show. Oh, I see Legal Fit says, you said that you told the client to go get a divorce in the US, but it has its own problems. Yeah, that's true. I would normally recommend that if the funds are available, right, to the applicant, and also, but you could get a divorce on your own. Texas made it easier, fortunately. Divorce lawyers would argue they don't want to make it easier, of course, but at least in Texas. But that is a little more straightforward. You want to do it yourself, but our team is happy to help with divorces in limited situations like this. But you get a divorce on your own. In Texas, if you happen to live in Texas, it is a lot easier to get a divorce. I know California, you have to go through this stringent rule. I think you have to be legally separated for a year before you can legally file for divorce. Whereas in Texas, we don't have none of that nonsense. California is a bit, I'm a Democrat, but California is a bit wacko in some of the rules, from what I understand. But so if you live in California, my apologies. But anyways, in Texas, if you have been living in Texas for at least 6 months and in the county for 90 days, you can file for divorce. And your spouse doesn't have to live here. They could be abroad. They could be outside the country. There is a step after filing divorce, is you have to serve them. Like any lawsuit, you got to serve them, which means basically physical delivery. There is a way to do it without without physical delivery. First, it's called service by publication. Typically, if you have kids together under 18, or if you have a house. But the other thing is, if to do that, if you don't have a house or a child during marriage, then you can do service by posting. Long story short, don't want to go into this divorce steps, but it is possible, and it's much easier in Texas. Again, there's a lot of issues with Nigerian nationals of Nigerians with documentation wise. You are not the problem, okay? Do not give up. If you have been denied, do not give up. If your RFE time period, your knowing time period has passed, your denial time period has passed, you can refile. Now, of course, if your deadline has not passed on those documents, RFE, NOID, or denial, please contact an attorney as soon as possible. There's so many immigration lawyers out there. It doesn't have to be Ting Law Group or me. It'd be our pleasure to assist you all the way through to get your legal status. But please know we do have an office in Houston, Texas. We're legit. I don't dress in a suit. I typically don't unless I go to court or USCIS office. But I am a lawyer. I'm a licensed attorney, and I have an office. We don't hide. You can contact us any day unless I'm with my kids. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Take care.